market, man. It is crazy out there. And one of the things we're constantly asked is, how is the market right now, right? It's funny because when you're talking with sellers, they'll tell you it's a seller's market. I can do whatever I want. I can get whatever I want. I'll get the terms I want. I'll get the closing date I want, which isn't that far off from the truth, honestly. But then when you talk to buyers, they'll constantly say, oh, there's a lot of real estate out there and I can wait and whatever, but I need to close in 35 days, right? So it's a challenge on both sides. And I thought, man, we got to bring the facts, man. We're always bringing opinions. A lot of realtors are going to bring opinions. The people you're talking to, your friends, your family, your neighbors, everybody at the grocery store, they're bringing opinions. Why not cut the opinions out of it and just bring the statistics? So today, Lissette and I are bringing you Treasure Coast market statistics pulled from the MLS. So you're going to get today's data. So Lissette, I'm going to let you start. Give us some good stuff so we can get a feel for what we're looking at with this real estate market.
Okay, well, it's an extremely hot market. And once you pull the numbers, you understand why we keep saying that. The first thing that I look at is the absorption rate. And what does that mean? That means right now, no other listings were to come on the market. How long would our listings last? Last year in May 2020, we were at 3.75 months. That's
a normal market.
That's an average market.
That's a good buyer's market or a seller's market. That's pretty average market.
Yeah. This year we're at 0.88. That's less than a month.
Isn't that crazy?
In the 34986 area code, I'm honing in specifically in this area where we have the average list price back last year, May, at 340. This year it's at 400,000. Wow. That's a $60,000 difference in 1 year.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where we have the average sale price at 359 this year compared to last year's at 279. And average days on the market, we're looking at last year roughly 62 days, this year 27 days.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Yeah, the market is still hot, and you really realize how active it is when you're comparing it to last year's stats. And it comes down to the fact that we don't have enough listings on the market, and there's still a huge demand.
Yes.
From buyers.
So I was just talking with a couple good friends of mine the other day, and they were talking about, man, I'm seeing more listings coming on. It was a good feeling. They hadn't looked into the MLS. It was just something they kind of felt. And they were talking about how listings have been coming on at a higher rate. And I thought, I didn't say anything, but I thought, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing still the same challenge I saw 30 days ago, 60 days ago, 90 days ago. In fact, I might even be seeing it a little bit more. So I really think it's awesome to look into these statistics because even us, the professionals, we're feeling different things. We're seeing different things, and we're in our own little bubble. I don't care if you're selling 100, 200 properties a year. With the amount of properties being sold, you're still in a pretty small bubble compared to the whole market, right? So here's what I looked at Port St. Lucie as a whole. She was looking at a very specific zip code, which is awesome. That's a zip code that honestly, I would say the majority of people looking in Port St. Lucie are probably going to be asking for that specific zip code. But I'm looking at Port St. Lucie as a whole, and here's what I found. There are 328 active listings on the market when it comes to residential listings, right? 290 of them are single family homes. That means, man, I got to do math here. 38 are like condos and townhouses, modular homes, that kind of stuff. But 290 single family homes. Now, if you're looking at $320,000 or less, the reason I picked 320 was because that's right around where you're going to get a $2,000 a month payment with your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. If you're looking into an HOA, that's a whole different ballgame. But if you're looking at those four things, and again, there's 87 different variables that go into it, right? What's your credit score? What's your rate? How much are your taxes in that particular area? What kind of appraised amount are you getting on your home? What are your insurance rates going to be? There's a lot to it, but 320 is roughly $2,000 a month. At 320 or less, single-family homes in Port St. Lucie, you have 78 options. Now, 78 might sound like a lot, but I haven't even let you be picky yet. I haven't talked about, does it have 3 bedrooms or more? Does it even have a garage? Does it have a pool? We haven't gotten into any details yet. That's all of the homes at 320 or under in Port St. Lucie right now. Port St. Lucie is a 200,000 person city. And there are 78 homes in Port St. Lucie at $2,000 a month or less. That to me is ridiculous. So then you say, well, Joe, how ridiculous is that? Lissette, you were talking about the absorption rate, right? If we didn't take any new listings and we sell at the rate we're currently selling, how many days would it take to sell that? So looking into that, where'd I have that? Right here. There were 516 single-family homes sold in May, right? From the 1st of May to the 31st of May, there were 516 single-family homes sold. When you do the math at that rate, in all of Port St. Lucie, we got about 17, 18 days of inventory. 17, 18 days. I've been doing this since 2004, minus that little stint I had in the Army. And I have never seen anything even close to this. I remember months ago we were talking about, hey, it's at 6 weeks, it's at 8 weeks, it's at 4 weeks, it's at 5 weeks. Now we're talking about 2.5 weeks. That's just ridiculous. So if you're thinking, man, I'm going to wait until the market goes down, man, I tell you what, the market, eventually it has to soften, because eventually your incomes in that area just won't keep up with the prices. But to come down, I would just, again, when we looked, right, DJ and I, when we looked for our house, because we just closed a couple weeks ago, we said the same thing. I said, honey, I looked at the last 70 years. One time the market dropped 10% or more. If the market's going to drop 2, 3, 4%, that's not enough for me to want to throw all that rental money away. I'm still not going to make up for it, right? It doesn't make any sense. I need at least a 10% reduction before I'm going to get interested, and that's only happened once, so I'm not going to gamble on that. The average list price in May was $334. The average sales price was $335. So it's selling for a hair more than asking on average. And remember, a lot of times you're going to hear, well, I thought homes were selling for 10, 20, 30 grand more. They are. You got to remember, a lot of these homes that are in here, when I go into a listing appointment and I tell them, hey, your home is worth $400,000. Lissette, what's the first thing they say?
Oh, yeah, no, my home is worth $450,000.
Yeah, let's list it at $450. It's a seller's market.
Yeah.
It's a seller's market, which brought it from 3.25 to 4, not $450. So even if we put it on the market for $450 and I get you that offer, it's still going to go through appraisal. Yeah, but Joe, I'll get a cash buyer. Guys, cash buyers are 10, 20% of the market right now. They're a big portion of people winning, but it's a small portion of the buyer pool. So the odds of that happening are pretty slim, right? So when you're hearing that people are selling for way over, yes, those selling at $400,000 are getting offers at $420 and $430, and they're covering appraisal shortages. You're getting 100 showings in a week or two. It's crazy. But so many people are still listing their properties considerably over the comps that those properties either are taking 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks to sell, or they're selling underpriced, right? But to get that underpriced property, you have to find one that's already way overpriced. That is not desirable. The ones that you're hearing about are the ones that are well priced. They show great. Everything about it is working in its favor. And those are the stories you hear. So just remember that, right? They are selling over. But if you want one of the beautiful, well-staged, well-put-together, doesn't have any issues after inspection homes, you're looking at paying $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over on average. Let's see what else we got. Average square footage of single-family homes, 1907. So if you're looking for a bigger or a smaller home, right now average is about 1,900. It's just interesting to know, right? Average sale price per square foot, because you might be saying, well, I don't have a 1,900 square foot home. I got a 1,400 square foot home, or I got a 2,400 square foot home. Where does that sit? Again, there are a million things that are involved with this when it comes to pricing your home, but you can look at the price of $176.41 a square foot as the average sales price in May, right? That's really important to note. Okay, I think this is cool too. We get a lot of folks from California, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, coming down, and everybody says, I want at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms, and a pool. I swear, you could put that on a recording and just pull string it out of a puppet's back. That is literally what every single person says. So, of May sales, 24, almost 25% had pools, okay? Roughly a quarter. Of the ones currently on the market, it's a little bit less, about 10% less, 22%, right? So it's just interesting to see. If you have to have a pool, you're literally narrowing yourself down to about 20, 25% of the market, okay? So just realize that. Versus opening it up to the entire market And now you've got 5 times more options and you can build the pool yourself. Is there pain with that? Is there discomfort with that? Yes, but you're going to have 5 times more options. So you're going to be checking a lot of those other boxes. Just something to think about, right? 71 of the 290 properties that are currently on the market are new construction. That's 24%. 24% are new construction. So a lot of people are thinking, I don't want any issues. I don't want anybody else's BS. I want a beautiful, perfect, well-constructed home with all the warranties. Cool. Just like pools, you just limited yourself to 1 out of every 4 homes on the market. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be aware that that's what you're doing to yourself, right? And then the last thing I've got here is if you were looking at those 290 properties that are on the market and you say, I want an acre or more. I hear that a lot. Lissette, you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How realistic is that? Of the
in Port St. Lucie?
Yeah, exactly. You want to go to Okeechobee
Mm-hmm.
or Pierce? Maybe. But when you're in Port St. Lucie, it is literally cut into perfect little 80 by 125 sections.
Mm-hmm.
That is 99% of the city, right? So you've got 11 properties in Port St. Lucie out of 290 that have an acre or more. And you're thinking, okay, 11, I can deal with 11. Okay. The cheapest, what would you guess, Lissette? I won't even tell you. What do you think the cheapest of the 11 1-acre properties is? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Let's say $450,000. The cheapest.
$629.
Wow.
$629. Second cheapest is $684.9, and the other 9 are all $815 and higher. Okay.
Wow.
So you know that people with property demand a higher price. And you can say, well, that's not worth it. I'm not going to pay it. Awesome. There's only 11. So if literally 10 people are like, I have to have acreage, no budget, what am I paying? 10 of those 11 are selling. It doesn't matter what you think a property is worth. I want to end with this too, Lissette, and I'd love to hear your response to this. I get a lot of people who will walk into a house as a buyer and they'll see the price tag of, let's just use $375 as an example. And they'll say, I'll present an offer for $375. No more. I'm not overpaying for a house. It's crazy. The market's going to go down eventually like it did in 08. I do not want to deal with that. Here's the deal. That house might be worth $350. And they've already inflated it to $375. And if you present an offer at $375, you're paying $25,000 more than its value, right? You're paying a price that does not match the value. That home also might be worth $385. And they're asking $375 because they want to be very marketable, very aggressive, right? Now you're missing out on that sweet deal. You could come in at $380, $385. You're still getting it at value or less if you get it. But you're not willing to look at the market analysis, right? So listen, every single seller, literally every seller I've ever sold a house for has said, Joe, I want you to do a market analysis. Prove it to me. What's it worth? Show me. Make me feel it. And I'll do that market analysis for them, right? And they'll buy into it. Yes, okay, now it all makes sense. But they want to be educated. Buyers don't do that. Instead, they look at the listing price and everything's based on that, whether it's high, low, right where it needs to be. And I'm telling you guys, you need to disassociate yourself from that listing price. Your buyer's agent should, absolutely must do a market analysis for you. They should be telling you, hey, this price at $375, it's a great price. Comps are right in the $375 to $385 range. You could pay $385, $390 for this home. You're going to be okay, value-wise. They could also come back and say, whoo, this one is comping out at about $340, $350. $375 is a challenge. Even if you're willing to pay it, we're going to have a tough time because you're financed and the appraiser has to come through and say it's okay. Are you willing to pay $25,000, $35,000 in cash to make up for this shortage? So again, my overarching thing here, and Lissette, I'd love to hear your opinion on this when you're working with buyers, is really get rid of the idea that list price is where your offers are based on. That list price just absolutely does not matter if you're trying to pay something of value, right? Maybe it's I'm only paying value or less, or I'll pay 10 grand more than value. That's it. Whatever it is, get rid of that thought that list price even matters. Lissette, what do you think?
No, most definitely. And it's what I do with all my buyers when we're getting ready to put an offer in. The first thing I tell them is, give me a moment. Let's go pull some comps in this neighborhood. And let's see for what everything has sold and what's being listed at. recently within the last 30, 45 days. You need to have a good grasp, just as sellers do on the market, and understand what things are selling for. It may have sold for $25,000, $50,000 less last year, but
Yeah.
this year it's a different market, and a buyer needs to be as educated as the seller.
So I'll tell you too, I would guess I've sold 300 houses. I've had 0 appraisals come in short until 45 days ago. And in the last 45 days, I've had 4 appraisals come in short, both as the listing agent and as the buyer's agent. I think right now it's incredibly important because to win an offer, you're almost always, unless the home is just beat up, ugly, needs a ton of repairs, whatever, you're almost always coming in over what the comps are. And you can say as a buyer, well, I'm not going to overpay. Awesome. Well, then you're going to have a really challenging time of winning, or you're going to have to purchase a home that needs a ton of work done on it. And that makes it ugly to all the other buyers. If you're not willing to do that, it's going to be really challenging, right? I think right now for us as professionals, it's really critical to have that conversation, that expectation management up front before you even look at the first house of, hey, listen, you might be a strong buyer. You might bring a strong offer. But remember, if that appraisal's short, you're going to be paying the difference, or you're going to be negotiating it, which that's going to be tough, or you're going to lose the house. So just, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe they're like, I don't care. Let's just put the offer in. If it comes in short, we'll lose it. Cool. Maybe they say, I'll pay the cash difference. I'm okay with that. Cool. Maybe they say, we're going to negotiate, and I know the odds are tough because it's a seller's market. Cool. All that matters is you've educated them and the expectations are set on day one. So when it happens, they're not, sitting out in left field. They've said, man, Joe, I really appreciate you explaining this 13 days ago. Now I'm kind of mentally prepared for what my response is going to be. And emotionally, I'm in a position to be able to take this head on. What do you think of that?
Back maybe last year, I would have rank issues that I would bring up to buyers before going into contract in a certain order. And maybe the first one would be inspection. This year, the first one is appraisal. Appraisal.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to get everyone on the same page so we all have the same expectations when we do come across a shortage of appraisal. So it's an extremely important conversation to have upfront and have a game plan how you're going to attack that.
Yeah, I'm throwing you off here, but this is something I want to bring up because it's popping up so much, both as a buyer's agent and a listing agent. I'm seeing a lot of people, especially down south agents, and I get it. They don't want to drive all the way up here. It's 60 minutes. It's 90 minutes, right? From Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Miami, wherever they're coming from. They don't want to drive up. So what they're doing is they're finding the 5 properties that their buyer's interested in Port St. Lucie, and they're putting in 5 great offers. I had one the other day. Woo, it was a good looking offer. And that seller, I said, listen, I want to talk to you about what I'm about to tell everybody here. This agent is from down south. I can't tell you how many down south agents will submit offers and they don't even show up to inspection. They don't even have the inspection. They will walk before the inspection if there's an inspection contingency in there because they've put in, let's say, 5 different offers. 3 of them get accepted, and then they do the inspection. They invest in the inspection on the one that they actually like, right? Now, I don't know as a listing agent if that's happening on every single listing, but I know there is a severe difference, a big difference in what we're seeing as listing agents when it comes to how many are actually coming through. Up until COVID, I've never had anybody not show up to inspection. If we had a pending offer, they showed up. Now, not everyone went through. Some people backed out after inspection. It's understandable. But now you're getting people who don't even show up. So then the question becomes, okay, how do we as listing agents, how do we as sellers combat that? What do we do to protect ourselves? Yes, it's a strong seller's market. But if you've got an inspection contingency in there, those people could just wake up one morning and say, sky's not the right shade of blue, man. I want to back out. And they can. So what do you do as a listing agent to combat that, Lissette?
Well, to be honest, it's been a little frustrating lately. And being originally from Miami, I know there's amazing realtors down in the 305. But lately, I've had a handful of agents that have been dropping the ball, being poor in communication. And I understand it's hard to maneuver when you're doing a deal out of your boundary, out of what you're comfortable with. But it's so important to represent your buyer every step of the way. And unfortunately, if I had to step up and take that position and step in and be proactive and jump in and talk directly to their lender to take over the deal, make sure we get to the cross line. But yeah, it is a very frustrating situation to be in. And currently I had an offer in, down south agent. We got to multiple offers. The buyer had not seen the property. He came up. They didn't even respond to highest and best. They saw it. They weren't interested, but they did put the offer in anyways, even though it was sight unseen.
So we've been doing two big things to combat this. The first thing is, and really it's the easiest, I think it's the best, I just think it's a good plan anyway, is have the seller pay for an inspection. The inspection's $300-400. Get the inspection done, and it saves you. It saves you because number one, even if they do an inspection, it looks like you disclosed everything you could. You're filling out seller's disclosures and you're getting an inspection. And then you can take it to the next level and you can get a lot of those issues taken care of. Take the receipts from your handyman, take the receipts from your roofer, take the receipts from Home Depot because you did the sink yourself, and put it on the report. Put that on the MLS and publicize it. Second, it's going to show everybody, hey, I've got an inspection. If you want to come in without an inspection contingency, assuming I've used a reputable, well-known inspector in the area, not somebody who does one inspection a month, there's a good chance that if you get 7, 8, 9, 10 offers, maybe half of them, maybe 2/3 of them are not going to have an inspection contingency. But what do you think that seller's going to take? They're going to take the offer with no inspection contingency. But now a buyer can feel comfortable and confident moving forward without one. Before they couldn't. Now, if we've done that and they still want the inspection, all I'm thinking is, and you're a down south agent, right? Again, I'm not bad-mouthing down south agents. I'm sure they're saying the same thing about Port St. Lucie agents. It has nothing to do with where you're from. It has everything to do with, I don't want to drive 60 to 90 minutes. Let's put in 5 offers. When 3 get accepted, then we'll go look at those 3 and we'll see what happens, right? That's the issue. And it's different variations of that issue too. So what we've also asked is, okay, if even after seeing our pre-inspection, you still want an inspection contingency, there's 2 things we're going to ask of you. Number one, if we agree to your offer, we're only going to negotiate on things in addition to what our inspector said. If you want to beat us up on something right now, beat us up while we've got 8 other offers to leverage against you. You're not going to beat us up on inspection after I've lost all those other offers and it's just you and me. So if you want to negotiate on something, it's only things that your inspector finds that mine didn't find, period. And the second thing is, I want to see some non-refundable escrow funds. Now, I know that sounds painful and I know that hurts and you're like, why would I do that? You're going to do it because it's a seller's market and because you're putting a contingency in there that not everybody else has, even after I've provided you an inspection, and you're from down south and you haven't seen the property. That's a lot of risk we're taking. Why would we take all that risk? I want a little bit of pain. Maybe it's only $1,000, $2,000, something where if you back out because you just didn't drive up and you wanted to protect yourself, the buyer in a seller's market, I want to make it a little painful for you. I don't want to bankrupt anybody, but I certainly want to make it painful. Yeah. Painful enough to where they're going to say, yes, I'm serious, or it's too much pain. $1,000 is too much. If $1,000 is too much pain for you, you're not serious enough. Next. So that's what we've done to combat this. Any last words on that?
No, that's the perfect solution right there, because you're weeding out whoever is serious and non-serious. And I've had buyers who wanted to buy in Miami, who wanted to buy in Green Acres, all over the place. And you know what I've done? Jumped in the car and drove over there. We've seen the property. And that's the best thing and the best way to provide service to your client is go and view the property. Even if you have to go in person and do a video and do a FaceTime, anything, make sure you visit the property before you submit that inspection, that contract offer over.
Well, guys, hopefully we brought you a bunch of helpful, valuable statistics. If there's anything else you want to know about the market, you can DM, call, text either one of us. We'd be more than happy to help you. You can put comments down on this video. I don't care if it's a week old, 2 weeks old. I will look those stats up and I'll get back to you and absolutely inform you on whatever it is you need. But just find yourself a hardworking, educated, who wants to educate you realtor as a buyer right now. You really need one. I appreciate it, Lissette. As always, thank you so much. I appreciate your insight.
Have a great one. Thanks, Joe.